know we did the last episode and we talked a lot about a lot of things,
A
but I
lot of
do
things.
feel like it's so interesting when I do these episodes because then I sometimes say something like it feels almost like I'm blurting it out, and then I think about it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk about it again because now I've had time to think.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what art is.
Yeah. Or also, even you like have an argument with somebody, and then you later on you're like, oh, I should have said X and Y and Z,
Oh,
and
I
I
do
didn't
that
get
all
to
the
say that. I do
time.
that all the time, and it's like, oh, well, we're not arguing, but we get to revisit the conversation we had last time.
Yeah. Well, on that note, this is going to be really vulnerable, but I'll talk about it. I'll do it. So I had an interesting conversation with somebody today who it was like a guy that no, but it's not even really like that. It was like we reconnected last year. We were like friends in high school and we're from the same hometown and we reconnected last year and we were talking, but like it was clear that it wasn't like, oh, we're dating. It wasn't really like that. It was more like let's form a friendship and like see, I don't know, let's just be open.
Yeah.
And then I had left him audio notes during the wildfires, during which he was in a 10-day Vipassana. And so I left him these audio notes, and I don't even like really remember them, but like
How long were these audio notes?
I don't know, like we used to. That was what we did. We
I know.
would leave
I love
notes.
audio notes.
Probably like 4 or 5 minutes, like
Yeah.
of me just freaking out. Okay, like, and then it was like his birthday during the Vipassana, right? So like I even left.
Did
him
you know he was doing it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
He messaged me going into it, being like, "Oh my God, I saw the wildfires are happening." And anyway, this guy, he's great. He's very outgoing. He's a lot of friends, and it's what's interesting is like I'm outgoing, but I also only have a few very close people to me.
Yeah.
That's just how I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, so he came out of his Vipassana and didn't message me.
Ghosted you?
Ghosted. He ghosted for 3 months. I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of insane. Okay.
Ooh.
So then he DM'd me on Instagram.
Oh, he slid back in. Of course, they always come back.
Yeah. But like but it was like in response to the zine event, and he was like, "Oh, this is great." Like, and like, this is amazing, like some kind of compliment. And old me would have just said nothing. But like, honestly, I was hurt when he ghosted.
Yeah.
And so I actually said something. I was just like, hey, it's like hurtful that you dropped off the face of the planet and then you're acting like you didn't.
Yeah.
And it led to some interesting dialogue. And then he told me he had like written me this letter. And I was like, I don't even want a letter now. I just just call me.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Communication
Thank you.
is
And
so important.
well, and like, okay, here's the weird thing, right? It's not like we were dating.
No.
But it was a really drastic change in like the rhythm of our communication. It's not like we were talking all the time, but it was like every 2 weeks
Yeah.
kind of thing. And for me, I'm like, I'm sorry, like if somebody leaves you messages during a wildfire panicking, maybe just like respond. My first thought was like maybe something happened to him. Okay?
Yeah. That's scary, actually.
scary.
To not even hear from somebody to be like, wait, what if something happened? Like, what do I? It's because you don't know.
You don't know. And also he had been through a 10-day meditation. So like I was like, what if something happened? But so then I agreed to do a FaceTime. So we did it today. And
Oh, this happened today.
It happened right before I came here. I hung up 5 minutes before I came here.
What happened?
And I was like, I mean, okay.
FaceTime is also like big deal.
It's a
Like,
big
that's-
deal.
That's like,
I know.
Whew.
You're kind of have to like look at the person.
I
and
know.
It's almost scarier.
I'm surprised he also agreed to that because usually guys would be like,
He suggested it.
oh.
Because I think
okay.
he in that moment was like, okay, I don't know. If you're listening to this, let me know over text. But I think in that moment he was probably like, I actually liked that because he was probably like, oh, I should do something that's not just like avoidant. The conversation went okay. I mean, I think that I am definitely in this phase of my life where I'm like being really intentional about who I let be close to me because I'm an artist and I'm a writer
1000%.
and I'm like, I
feel you.
cannot just be like close to everyone.
You don't
It
have
is-
time.
I don't have time and I literally don't have like spiritual energy or space.
Yes.
Because if something makes me feel really bad, then that kills my creative energy.
Same. I feel you on that. Because also you're spending time getting vulnerable to this. Like it's just this process of if you don't get anything in return or I don't know. It's like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, wait, say more. I want to know more.
No, I also think I'm the same way when it comes to people where I put up a huge wall just because when I do fall, it's like I go all the way and I want to make sure that like, you know, I give my love and time and attention to this person. And so it is a big deal when that's either not reciprocated or it's just there's so much miscommunication where it's like you're right. It's like as if like I don't know, all your energy gets sucked out and you don't even feel like you can create or you can be at your optimal, you can't operate at your highest level because this thing is weighing on you. And I'm very much like, let's like, you know, talk about it, solve the problem, get the closure, like, you know what I mean? So it's like wrap it up and move on.
Yeah,
but if you're
me
not getting
too.
that, then it's like, whoa, it's
I'm like,
just
what's
mind fuck.
Well, and I'm never somebody who's like, I'm mad at you, do this thing so I can be pleased and not be mad. It's more like, oh, I was seeking a connection and you weren't. And I'm hurt about that. And I'm not saying somebody owes me. So for me, I kind of said my piece and I was okay to just move on.
Yeah.
But he wanted to do this FaceTime, so we did. And to be honest, it went just okay. I think, like, you know, I think people in my life are really used to me being a little bit of like,
Pushover.
a doormat, yeah, or just really nice.
I know
I'm
you
so
are.
nice.
You are very sweet. You're very nice. Sometimes too nice.
Until I'm not.
Oh yeah.
And I'm working on that because then when I'm not, I'm really not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's also not cool.
No, same. I know. I feel you. When
Yeah.
I'm mad, it's like, yo,
It's like-
time to get back into therapy. You know what I mean? I'm like, when I'm mad, it's like I need
like
to
it-
work on that because it's also not
yeah.
great at all.
Well, and to be honest, it actually is refreshing to me when I'm angry because I'm like, this situation, yes, this calls for anger. I should be angry in this moment. So sometimes I'm actually like, thank God I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's here.
There's something
I'm like,
inside
there's
of me.
something inside me.
Something woke me up.
Yeah. So the way I was feeling during it, and he's Indian, right? Like what I was feeling is like, I have compassion for people going through something, which I know he was. But I'm like, I'm also a person. And if you start a conversation by being like, I know I did this thing, but hopefully we can just move past it. I'm like, I'm going to punch you because
Yeah.
we have not even really talked about it. And you're already expecting forgiveness.
I also think when someone just completely avoids the situation, they're not even confronting themselves as to like they're not even self-aware enough to
No.
realize what they've done. And when that happens, you're just like, okay, well, if there's nothing there, then I
Yeah.
can't like the self-awareness needs to be there.
Right.
Because even for me,
And,
if I do
yeah.
lose it at someone, if I do hurt someone, I will make it a point to apologize because I'll sit with it and I'll be like, even if they triggered me, my reaction was unwarranted. It wasn't. It was not okay. Where it's like, even if there's the two people in this situation, like I will recognize, like yes, like I said some mean things, I overreacted, and I will take accountability for it.
Yeah,
Like, I will
that's
make
great.
sure I do that because
Yeah.
I do so. I feel I'm empathetic. Like I'm a feeler. Like
Yeah.
I will. I'm not blind. I'm the queen of the world, and I deserve all. No,
But you are the queen of the world.
in some ways. But I
Yeah.
will make it a point to be like, wait, hold up. Like that wasn't okay. Let me.
Let me come back.
Yeah.
So I totally, and I think in this moment, like what I was really proud of myself for is what I really stuck to is I was like, look, I was just hurt. And what he did really have to acknowledge, and I think this is just something that happens, like full stop, I did not mean as much to him. That was like, it didn't, and that's hard to hear.
It is hard to hear.
It is, but that's what it was. Like
Yeah.
for him, he has, and some of it is that he's a people pleaser, right? So he has a lot of people still in his life that he's like trying to reconnect with and please. That's done for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't have that many people in my life that I'm leaving 10-minute audio notes for. You do? Cool. But I don't have that.
Yeah.
So I was like, for me, this meant something. It was like an outlet. It was a connection I was building. Whether or not it was going to end up being romantic was not even the point, but it meant something to me.
Of course.
And so I talked about that very honestly, and I was really, for me, this conversation honestly was practice.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just practice.
Bringing it on the pod. Let's go. Cameras up. Here we go.
I can't believe I'm talking about it.
I love that you're talking about it
It's
because I
insane.
think it's even just
Yeah.
to be able to talk about. I mean, being single, it's so tough when you're meeting different people
Yeah.
and you have different experiences. But even to come to that realization and openly admit that, a lot of people won't. They'll be like, yeah, he was this and he was that. But to actually like,
He's a human.
he's a human. And I'm sure you've
Yeah.
also experienced people where they didn't mean as much to you. In that.
Exactly.
So it's like,
and then I
you
feel
know that
bad, but
feels-
then I'm like, at least we talked about it, and then
Yeah.
it goes away.
yeah, because also it's like, oh, when I get ghosted, it sucks. But have I ghosted others? Yes. So
Yeah,
it's like,
same.
It
Yeah.
is that given like that back and forth, but at the same time, I'm glad that like you also know your worth and you're not going to let that.
Yeah. Well, and somebody
break you.
being like, I would love to like stay friends or this or that. I'm like, well, I don't even think a friend would do that to me.
Yeah.
I actually would be like really upset if a friend did that to me. So
Yeah.
like the very visceral thing of like somebody reached out in a vulnerable moment and you don't acknowledge it. I actually know, and maybe this is like a trigger I'll work on when I'm in therapy, but I know that triggers my abandonment stuff. And so I know that about myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why would I say, sure, don't worry about it. Do it again. Like whatever.
I'm okay. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm cute. I'm whatever. Like I'll just put on some lipstick and get over it. Like I mean, sometimes I can't do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, like even in talking about it, it's healing.
It
Like
is
it is.
healing.
I'm even talking to him, and he even said this. He's like, I feel like I'm learning a lot from this, and I was like, yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah.
But I am too.
But that's the thing I love about you is you're always down to have real conversations with people.
Yeah.
Hence like this podcast, but also just in normal settings where
Truth.
there's no like surface level with
No.
you. It's always like
know.
let's get to the nitty gritty because
I'm like, what's
you
up?
don't have time. And I
I'm like-
also think it allows people to be very vulnerable with you and
Yeah.
talk about any sort of thing because you create that space of like I'm a real person and I just want to like talk about real things because what else are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. And maybe that's something, and I talked about this a little bit today with him. I'm like, something I've had to contend with is even in just starting this podcast very recently and putting out things, when I go on dates or I meet people, they feel like they know me. Or
Yeah.
they feel like closer to me than they are. And then there's also this thing of like they want to be able to consume my content, but that might not necessarily mean they're interested in actually connecting with me. And so I think this is a new thing.
to be a real connection and
And like consistency.
the consistency.
Even with friends. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need some. I'm like, and if you can't, then okay, then I'm not. You don't have space then, and just
Yeah.
that's okay.
And that's fine.
I'm like, I've got like 3 people I send audio notes to.
Yeah.
I do love the audio note you sent me, where she she was straight up like talking about something serious related to like video edits.
It was like for the podcast.
It was like for the podcast, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Yo." She's like, get out of the road. And like, I fully hear
There
her.
was someone honking at me, and I was literally at a red. And I literally during the voice, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like I lose my mind, and there's the rage that comes out. You got to see it.
Yeah, I loved
firsthand.
it.
But literally, it was like a no turn on red, and this person's honking, and I was like, "I'm not turned. Like you learn how to read." But I was just like,
I loved that. I loved like that is the stuff that makes me feel close to people. You know, when they're
where it's
like, "Ah!"
okay, I was like literally in this deep heart to heart with you, and then just lose my mind in traffic, and I'm
it
like,
was such a reversal that it
was
was like
such a
very
reversal.
comedic. Like she's like, and then I think that oh my god, like where?
and then I forgot. I was like, "Oh, I'm still recording." You know what? I'm just gonna send you this whole.
She's
thing.
like-
Just, I'm not even re-recording it. Just here you go, full send. You want me? You want the raw me? Here you go.
Honestly, the like eyebrow queens part 2 is just audio notes that people send me.
You know that literally needs to be that because some of the audio notes that even we send each other
Are insane.
are crazy. Where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're not meant for the pod. Maybe some are meant for the pod.
Some are
will
meant-
put us in jail. I don't know.
Some are like a time capsule.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, this guy said that today. He's like, your audio note, like during the wildfires. I was like, I don't remember it. He's like, it's kind of like a time capsule because he's like, you literally sound panicked. And I'm like, I can't conjure that again. Like, I can't. I don't.
You can't recreate the
No.
Hey,
Hey, my hair smells like fire. Like literally, I was like, don't worry. I'm a mile away from the wildfires.
I'm evacuating safe. Don't worry about me.
Aneri died people pleasing. I'm like in the wildfires. I'm like, don't
The light at the
worry.
end of the tunnel was the fires. Congratulations to me.
Just like sitting there. I'm like, I'm fine. But yeah, Ragni, you know Ragni, she left me an audio note this morning about something. And I could hear birds chirping like in the background. And even the stuff like that, I'm like, I want to bring that stuff into
Yeah.
like audio creative. Like,
yeah.
audio is just inherently so artistic.
It
because
is.
You, especially when you can't see people, you're just hearing their voice.
Yeah, well, also I think it's great because it's like it's not a phone call, but it's like a phone call that you choose to take on your own time where you don't have to even respond to it, which is why it works so well because not everyone can like text all the time, or there's sometimes too much to text where it's like, let me just send you a quick audio, listen to whenever you can and respond whenever you can. But like, I think there's that ease of just like. You get to feel this connection with someone through their voice because their voice says everything, right? You can
Hear it.
and even when I storytell, I have the craziest stories that I like. I'll send my girlfriends just audio note after audio note of like just even the stupidest things that happen to me. I'll just send it to people just so that they can. Like some people are like, dude, it's so nice to just like hear your voice sometimes because I feel like we forget the power of our own voices. That like we don't like. How
love
often
voice.
how often are you calling someone? You know what I mean? How often are you get to hear someone's actual voice? Voice notes are my absolute favorite form of communication.
I know. I'm like,
love
what
them.
did I do before this?
Yeah.
Like, how did I stay in touch with people? What did I do?
Yeah. Well, I would call people. But
Yeah, me
it's
too.
also sometimes it's like now with everyone's schedules, it's like, and people who have kids now, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know when you're listening, to this, even if it's 3 days later, do it. But like, I respected more of just like, I think with text also, you can't really like, I don't know. Don't ask me how I'm doing with a text message and expect me to reply and give you this paragraph. Cause
I can't. It's just not my preferred mode of communication, and it actually stresses me out because then I'm like, type, delete, and I'm like, swipe. I'm not writing this. I'll just
Yeah.
leave an audio note later.
I know.
A lot of my friends who are moms, they told me that they love audio notes now because sometimes
They're
they'll be
breastfeeding.
feeding or like whatever, and so they're like, it's actually so considerate that you're sending it to me via audio note.
Yeah.
because I can actually listen and then respond when I can, and then I can actually hear what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Versus like the sanitized version.
And they're
of
mini
whatever.
podcasts. Like literally my friends are
Yeah.
like, you're sending me mini podcasts,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Like just keep doing this.
I bet you there'll probably be a season of Eyebrow Queens where it'll just be repurposed audio notes that people like let me repost.
Oh yeah.
I'll be like, hey, sign this NDA, and they'll be like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, I'm so curious because we're both at that age where a lot of our friends have kids and stuff. Like, it is interesting how one thing I just like realized is I've had a few people do this to me who became new moms. They start calling me much more or texting me much more. And I think it's a really vulnerable time for women when they become moms for the first time because it can be lonely. It's like you're
Yeah.
at home a lot. And for a lot of women, especially honestly South Asian women, they're not always vulnerable with everybody, but I'm the person people are vulnerable with. And so all of a sudden, people who have not opened up to me or talked to me in years will be like sending me long texts and audio notes. And I'm like, oh, got it. Word.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it too.
Yeah.
Just because also I think like a lot of moms are going through all these changes and it's
Yeah.
like so sudden. And then now they're experiencing things that I didn't even know about, like postpartum depression until
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but there was a mom who committed suicide and wrote an article about it, or there was an article written about it, and I had no idea it even existed. This was like
So
a
serious.
few years ago,
Yeah.
and a lot of my friends are actually experiencing it and now talking about it and going through that.
Oof.
Where it's like I respect them so much because I feel like a lot of South Asian women don't express what they're going through, but the ones that are and that can, mad respect to them.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, oh my God, one of the other things I talked about on that call today, I was like, hey, by the way, like, so you know where I'm at personally. I was like literally thinking about it after our last episode when we talked about motherhood and just like how we see it all happening. And like, we are in such a challenging time. And like, granted, I'm bisexual. I can date women too. But in general, nobody's really doing that well.
Yeah.
I would say men are doing especially not well, who have not stayed connected to people. Like they're feeling very lonely and isolated and all these things. And then even outside of all of that, I've always had this in the back of my mind, but I've been scared to say it out loud. I'm like, I mean, if I have enough money, like I would just get a sperm donor. Like I really want
you
kids. I really want kids, but I've never, in the back of my mind, I've always had this voice that's like, we shouldn't just be defaulting to one way of doing it. You can
Absolutely.
do it in any kind of way you want. And then a few years ago, I was at a talk Padma Lakshmi was giving in New York at Chief, this like women's network. And she was talking about the first time she got pregnant with, I think it was Salman Rushdie's baby.
Yeah.
And she was like splattered all over the tabloids because they're like, oh, does she even know who the daddy is? And she was so funny. She was like, yeah, who cares who the daddy is? At least I could get pregnant. She's like, yeah, I didn't know.
I love that. I love that.
Because she had PCOS. So she's like, I literally didn't think I could get pregnant for like a long time. So when I got pregnant, I was like, fuck yeah. And then she hired this woman who used to be in the Indian military to be her nanny. And she was like, my life is great. I have this amazing nanny. I get to make all the decisions. I have an amazing daughter and I don't have to report to anybody. And she goes, I know this comes from like a big place of privilege, but she was like, if you're rich, you can just be a single mom.
That is amazing.
And me and her made eye contact, and I literally was like, in that moment, I was like, it was like, I was like changing my life. Like when you see this like beautiful
Yes.
Indian woman who has like everything she wants saying that, it's just something in you changes.
Absolutely. And also I think we never even thought of like there's different ways to live. There's different ways to find fulfillment and there's different routes we can take. And
Yes.
there is no right or wrong path. We're just different. And I've just realized that about myself too, where I don't want kids, like definitely do not want kids, have come to that realization.
I love this for you.
Recently. Well, not recently. It's been, in the back of my mind even when I would approach dating, it was never like, oh, I have to have a baby by this age, so I have to find someone by this age. So let me rush that process of finding someone. It was more of like, I'm going to put babies aside. I'm not really going to think about that. And if in time, like if it happens, it happens, and if it can't, it can't, and I'm going to be okay with it. And I think that's when I first started to have this notion of like, actually, maybe kids aren't the end all be all, or for me, I don't want
Totally.
kids.
It's just a path.
It's a path, but then I think as I started, becoming an artist and exploring all these different ways to create art and follow my passions, I've realized that like I definitely now don't want kids because I see how emotionally demanding it is for parents firsthand. A lot of my friends and family are having kids right now, and it's the blood, sweat, time, tears, and energy you're putting into these kids is valid because you're shaping and molding these tiny little human beings. So as you should put all of that into that, and I respect that, but I don't see myself doing that for me and my path and like what I want to do. And,
very valid.
And that's okay.
And
I
that's
feel
more
like
than okay.
And I think just acknowledging that and accepting that about yourself is so important, because I think one of the biggest responsibilities for us is figuring out how you want to live and what you're capable of and what you want and the energy that you want to put out, and just being real with yourself. Because I think once you do that, yes, there's a lot of guilt and disappointment and there's a lot of guilt in disappointing others, but the worst thing you can do is disappoint yourself. And so now I can finally like talk about it, and I can feel okay talking about it, because there are other ways for fulfillment for me. Like I love working with kids. I can put time and energy into so many different things, and it's okay. And like, yes, there's always going to be the existential curiosity of like, oh, what if I chose the other path? But that happens with everybody.
Even people who have kids are like,
Even
what if
people
I
have
didn't?
kids. And like, again, I'm not saying parents can't achieve their dreams, because I know so many people who are just doing it all. I just don't think I can.
Right.
And I'm being real with myself for the first time.
Yeah. And okay, this is like an unlock for me that's happening in real time, literally right now. I have thought a lot about why is it that I feel so deeply connected to having a kid, and it's not that I don't want a life partner, it's that I don't necessarily feel like those have to be tied together.
Yes.
It feels like they can be or they cannot be. Mm-hmm. And I have felt that way from a very young age. I just didn't know how to like articulate it.
Wow.
And part of it is like, I just want something that's mine. And the fact that I can have that, like in all aspects of my life, my art, my ovaries, my body, whatever. And the other thing though, and this is an unlock I'm literally having right now, is like the way you feel about having kids. Like I think that sometimes with partners, I become codependent, or I still don't think, even though I have been in several partnerships, that I have been in something that I consider what I would want for the future. Right? Mm-hmm. So like in that, I'm like, okay, I don't want to give up on, like the reason I want to have kids is I have done so much work on myself. Mm-hmm.
You'd be a great mom.
It's why I vibrate the way I do. I want to pass that on. It's not because I'm checking a checklist. It's not even any of that. I'm like, I actually want to have a kid that embodies some of the things that I have like learned in this life. Like I think it's important to pass that on, even if it means some sacrifice. But I also have this gut feeling that it will bring a lot to my life too. I'm not expecting it to save me.
Yeah.
But I do think, in a very naive way, because I don't have kids yet, in a very naive way, I'm like, I want to pass this on and I want to go on the journey no matter what it means. But I've been so scared to say out loud to anybody that like, I'm not super committed to it being so tied to a partner. That being said, I would still continue the search for a life partner.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to just look like one thing.
I know. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful that you've realized that too, because there are different ways to achieve whatever you want, even in any type of creatively, passionately. It's like there's so many different paths that we didn't even know we had the option to even think about. But now as we're getting older and we're going through different experiences, we have that. And the self-awareness is so key because you're asking yourself what you want.
Yeah.
And what you want matters the most.
And we do have, I mean, it's like, obviously we can't know how everything is going to play out, but we do have inner voices.
Yes.
We do. We have these inner voices that we silence because we're like, oh, we should be doing it this way. And like, one of my cousins was telling me today, and she's like going through a divorce, and she has blossomed so much throughout the process of that. And
I love post-divorce blossom.
I love it.
So much.
It's like literally glow. It's like
Glow up.
holy shit. Like if
Good for you.
I'm like, if I thought I grew up after my breakup, I don't even know. There's nothing like it. It's like spiritually, physically, emotionally,
right?
everything.
Yeah.
And she was saying, like, she just hosted. She helped host a baby shower in her hometown for a cousin of ours, and so a bunch of relatives were like staying with her, and so all these like older aunties and stuff who she has not seen since she started this process. And so they all kept asking her like, but really, how are you?
Yeah.
And she's like, I mean, I have good days, I have bad days. She tried to answer it in an honest way. It wasn't like, I'm amazing. It was more just like, I'm just living.
Yeah.
And then they literally said to her, they're like, you seem just different. You're free.
Yeah.
And she's like, I felt like some of them were almost judgmental of that, and she was feeling, but some of them were also like appreciating it. But then she told me this really funny thing about how she also felt, even as a host, she was more relaxed. Like instead of running around trying to be perfect, she was just like enjoying time with everybody. And she's like, even that in itself, I'm like, God, I used to be one of those Indian women who would just be like, I wish I could just wear like a cloak and be invisible so I could run around and make everything perfect and not have to socialize and just make sure people have fun. And she's like, looking back, I'm like, that's so insane. Like, what? It's like you can't just be looking at people being like, have fun.
Yeah.
What's fun for people is when you're just present with them.
Yeah.
So it made me think a lot about just honestly what it means to be an Indian woman. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, God, we have so much like stuff.
There's so much stuff. And it's also like what you said, there's in any path you choose, there's going to be good and bad days, right? Like being a parent, of course it's hard, but at the same time, yeah, you get to build a family and you get to impact these lives.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. And then on the other hand, even if like you choose not to have kids, like you can find other ways to impact people, and it's not going to be the same, of course, but there's going to be both ups and downs in either situation, and that's okay.
Yeah. Like you could be like childless and free and amazing, and you could be traveling and doing things. And then you could have a couple weeks where you're like, oh, I'm kind of lonely, or I'm kind of whatever. And that doesn't mean you made the wrong decision.
Of course.
It's just
you just have different types of struggles.
Yes.
That's it. But you still have struggles, right? Like, who's going to take care of me? But at the same time, it's like, well, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. But so it's so funny because I know that we talked about some of this stuff on our last episode, but I think the reason we're doing it again and we're talking about it again is I think we both had kind of these realizations about the deeper meaning for each of us behind potentially looking at sperm donors, not wanting kids, being open to like different ways of building community. And so we just wanted to share that because I think sometimes like it takes talking about it once and then twice and then 5 times, and you come to these realizations as you're saying it out loud. And then there's going to be the function of putting it out there, and we're going to learn so much from putting it out there. Like even at my zine event, like me talking about like my abortion and then people responding to that, and then my friend asking me for parenting advice. Like, oh my God, what was that like watching that?
That it was. First of all, your zine event was amazing. Like just to hear you again speak about it. And I wanted to say something about that too, because I think when we have all these thoughts that go on in our mind throughout the day, but speaking something into existence, hearing yourself talk about something and hearing how your voice sounds when you speak about something makes the world of a difference, because you can hear it for even when you're talking to your friends and they ask you and you just answer something and you're like, wow, wait, I can't believe I just said that out loud. Like, yeah, I want to try this, or I felt this way. And when you say it out loud, it makes it real. And then you can dive deeper in that, right? Where it's like, I love that we did that in the podcast, where it's like, just hearing myself talk about it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is how I feel. Let me dissect it a little bit more to now speak about it in a way where it makes sense. I feel less shameful and like selfish. And now I'm like, no, I'm embracing who I am. And
It's your truth.
it's my truth. But back to your zine event. Hearing you be so vulnerable, like in front of people, and all the different parts of your journey, right? Like your abortion, your sexuality, and like your heartbreaks, and all of this. It was mind blowing. It was so impactful because that is, I feel like, what a lot of us strive to be at that level of like certainty where you're strong enough to be vulnerable to speak about it, right? Just like we're doing right now, but like that was live event in front of so many people, friends, family, all of this where it's like, I get it, but big props to you. Major respect to you.
It was terrifying.
I know it was terrifying, but you got to do the things that scare you to grow.
And I didn't think I was going to do all that. I didn't know. I just kind of went into it being like, let's see what happens. And that came out.
And I don't think anyone knew, honestly. No. I really didn't think everyone walked in like, what is this event? I have no idea. I had no idea. And just hearing you be so vulnerable, but so courageous at the same time was it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Your voice might shake, but you say it anyway. And then I think what was profound for me is because I didn't put up guardrails prior of like, here's what it's going to be and here's what it will be. It was more free. I then said those things and then the audience got to interact with me. That was my favorite part. Like just how much people asked me and contributed to the conversation. I'm like, this is art.
It was.
Like, even the making of this conversation of a mom of two asking this me for how I would raise kids is art. And
everyone got to be a part of that conversation because it was happening in real time.
Yeah.
Like, right? So people felt more connected because you were answering questions that were also just like, I mean, very deep, very insightful answers you had. Like it was just
they were real. I was
real.
like, that's like the other funny thing. Like there's trying to be insightful and then there's somebody asking you about your daddy issues on stage and being completely blindsided.
Yeah.
And I was like,
my jaw dropped a few times and I'm like, oh, like that person she went there. Like, okay,
she went there.
And I was like, how's she gonna answer? Like I was in it. I was like, how's she gonna do this?
I felt like I was like in a reality show about my own life.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
And it's all recorded.
Yeah.
So
I can't. You have to put out clips. Like,
yeah, I will. And so I'm obviously on this path of trying to figure out like, how do I want to create this art and then, protect what I have with my family. But quite honestly, I'm like, this is part of it. It's not easy for anybody, especially South Asian person that has done anything vulnerable or hard. I'm like, there was no easy path to getting there. So I'm just going to do it because it's my calling.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I'm like, I will be so angry at just myself if I don't pursue it. And if I don't do it, I'm not allowed to be angry at them because they didn't ask that of me.
Yeah.
Like they didn't ask me, or maybe they did, but I don't have to listen to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a journey. And I think the other thing I learned from that, because somebody said this to me, maybe it was you, they're like, what I enjoyed is like, it felt like you were going through a process and you were allowing us to be part of it.
Yes.
And so even with the podcast, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to allow people to be part of the actual process instead of being like, here's 3 things I learned from being a badass business bitch. 1, put yourself out there. I'm like, no. Let me just, instead of talking about manifesting and talking about being bold and talking about being vulnerable, I'll just include people in it and like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but there's something really gratifying about it and terrifying about it. It's really scary, especially with Indian people.
I know. You get it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the way you did it, it was amazing.
So, but then what's cool about this episode is like when we spoke last time, you had not done your comedy show yet.
That's right. It was before pre-comedy show.
Before.
It was.
And so I want to know just what it was like because you showed up. You showed out, you sold out the show, and like it wasn't, I mean, the comics were amazing, but also I think you were amazing, right?
Thank
like
you.
The way you were able to weave everybody's stories together and just kind of know how to manage. Talk to me about what you felt like before the show and then what it was like being in it.
Pre-show, I am always super nervous. Like the day of, I'm like, because like I'm conserving just the day of, I'm not eating properly. I'm like, just like conserving all my energy. I'm extremely nervous, just like making sure that I need to say all the things I need to say. And like, everything also has to fall in place, right? Like people coming, you're working with a lot of people and all of this. So Day of, usually, yeah, very nervous. But I think once I come on stage, I think that's like when I come alive and I let everything go, and I just like I I think my adrenaline just shoots up, and that is like fully me, where I'm just like, all right, no amount of prep can like there's no amount of preparation that can make this moment even better. Like I'm just gonna do whatever, like right now. Connect. And so yeah, it was awesome. I felt very confident. I think like this is now my 5th show that I've done. And I definitely feel like I'm still like working on comedy and this and that, but it's like for me, since I'm producing, hosting, and doing
insane.
comedy, I'm mostly focused on the production hosting part of it. And I think now a lot of people are like, listen, you're doing great in that. That's great. But like, we want to see now more of your comedy. Like, so I think I need to just shift my mindset to like, yeah, I'm going to give myself a longer set. I'm going to give myself more time on stage. Like it is my show, but I'm also thinking about what the audience, wants, and making sure that yeah, of course, but it's like making sure that all the other comedians are getting their time and that the show is not running too long. Because like I've been to shows where like the hosts will go, like they'll do like a 45-minute set, and I'm like, that's cool, but I'm also being conscious of like the audience and you guys are coming out. It's a Thursday night, like people have stuff to do, so it's like I want to make sure that the show is good. But now I'm more confident. Like, yeah, I'm gonna put myself more out there and give myself more time. And I think now I've built that confidence to be like, okay, I'm worth it. Or, like
well, you created your own momentum. Like somebody was saying that to me yesterday at my salon event. They're like, sometimes you just got to create your own momentum. And it's like you come to LA and you can either wait for people to give you permission or you can just do the damn thing.
Yes.
And I feel like you just did it.
I did it. And I think even like in all my other shows, it's more of like, okay, I'm doing it, I'm hosting, I'm going to try this, I'm try that. And now it's like, no, I'm doing it. And I'm like full in, like, okay.
You're locked in.
I'm locked in. And I just, the confidence is up. And again, it's like practice and it takes time and stuff. But I think it's interesting. I think that show I've felt like the most confident I've ever felt. But it's also like the more you do it, the more confident you're
right. Like I think that's what I have to remember is like, for every single thing I do, like, because my whole thing is I really like to capture, I love to write and I love candid conversations and like authenticity. Like my form of comedy is just like really authentic, vulnerable, dark, whatever. And like for that, you can sometimes create a container for that, but you can't always script everything. Yeah. And so it's like, it's challenging because I'm like, okay, what are different ways in which I can explore creating really good comedy, but not feeling like it's so scripted. And I'm like, you know what? The more I do it, I'm going to find my own style and it's going to get better and better and better. And when I signed with, I'm so excited about this, my first ever writing like manager.
Amazing.
Her thing to me was when she read my pilot, she was like, what I really liked is that your voice is not like anyone else's I've read.
Ooh,
like
no,
it's really
not.
Funny and it's really good.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, she's Mindy Kaling. Oh, she's this. She's like, no, it's Aneri.
Yes.
And I was like, it took me 2.5 years of like finessing that pilot to get to that. So now that I know how to do that on paper, I'm like, okay, how can I do that, on stage? So even the zine was part of that. My salon event yesterday, that was part of it. But I think it's going to keep getting better as I do it more.
I love that.
Because at some point, I don't want to be the something of something.
No.
I'm like, I'm just me.
Absolutely.
And you're just Priya.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I obviously love taking elements from, different comedians and being like, oh, I want to do this and this and this. But at the end of the day, it's just me. It's
like what people like about you, like you do have like a very unique quality. And I can't even like explain it. But I think that's what people are drawn to. I'm not thinking like, oh, Priya's just like Hassan.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
I would love to though.
You would love to. But I you don't know. Like,
yeah.
Like, whatever, Priya, we're going to take over the world. Like, and on Hassan, I love Hassan Minhaj, so I say that meaning so much respect. But again, I think for me, it's helpful to think like, okay, what are the elements I like other people are doing, but then also what's my inner voice?
100%. Like I love Nikki Glaser and Ali Wong and Hassan, right? So it's like I love taking bits of them,
Phoebe
but then
Waller-Bridge,
and then just like,
them.
Of course, incorporating me in there. And I think it's taken time to find my voice.
It's so hard.
But I also think it's a process, right? Of like discovering what you're good at, doing it, finding your voice, feeling confident, and then putting out the content. It's like this process that I'm still going through of like,
it's so hard.
It's so hard. But at the same time, it's all part of the journey. It's like part of the growth, part of
it's like
doing it.
I literally think about this sometimes and I'm like, it's a calling when someone follows this because I'm like, it would be easier to do anything else. Yeah. I ran a tech startup for 7 years
Yeah.
in like video advertising. It was so
Yeah.
technical. It was so crazy. I had to raise money and like
Yeah.
constantly be like visible and doing all this stuff. This is so much harder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like that was hard in like a way where like once I got the gist of it, I don't know, like being creative and putting yourself out there requires a different level of like spiritual awareness.
Yeah.
That like running a startup just didn't. Like I'm smart. So once I was really good at the business side of things, I could just
You are
crank.
smart.
I could just crank. But the spiritual awareness part, I'm like, I'm so humbled. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I have so much respect for like any artist that has done
LA
anything.
has humbled everyone.
It has humbled me.
It humbled me too. Oh man, especially with transplants, you come in, you because like, we're doing big things outside of LA, and then you come to LA and you're like, okay, yeah.
I'm like, I'm kind of a shithead. Like, I'm like, I didn't know. And it's much easier to be on the other side of it, criticizing it.
Yeah.
Or like or consuming, but actually creating and showing up, even when everyone keeps telling you you're amazing. Isn't that weird? I still sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Like I have days
Oh yeah, of
where
course.
I'm like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be days. And then there's also something where it's like, even with any of the feedback that you're getting, whether it's either really, really positive, like, oh, yeah, like you're really amazing, or really, really negative, of like, you should never do this again. It's always important to ground yourself, right? And figure out, like, okay, yes, I'm going to take a little bit from here, I'm going to take a little bit from here, and make sure that I know exactly where I stand, and not let yourself go in either direction of
Right.
like being too egotistical, of like, what's up?
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
being
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I quit, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. It's like a seesaw.
Yeah.
Like
So
it's
even if you have those days, it's like, oh, it's always going to be the balance, because then you're gonna have events where people are gonna like, right, like it's like where you light up the room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I have a question. Where did you live before LA again?
Atlanta,
That's right. And you worked in finance?
I was in finance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a really random question, but because I feel like it made a difference for me. Did how you date change as you stepped into yourself as an artist?
Yes.
Tell me
Absolutely
more. Because it did for
did.
me, but I want to know how it did for you.
Well, I also think when I was in Atlanta, I was in like I was doing a 9 to 5, and I kind of a lot of my friends around me were getting engaged and married, and so that's kind of just like, the path that I thought I was supposed to do, of like, hey, you get a full-time job, and then you date to marry, and you settle down, and this and that. Like I felt like I was dating, but I didn't really know who I was. I was just a chameleon, or I wanted to please this other person, or like, or create this idea of like, oh, this is what a relationship should be like. Like, we date for a certain amount of months, and then we make it official, and then we do this, like, because a lot of my friends were following that path of like, they were finding that person, and it was just like engagement, marriage, kids, all of this, like. And for me, yeah, it was interesting. I would go to like all these weddings, like we talked about, and at every wedding, I'm sitting there, and I love celebrating love, but in my gut, it was like, I was like, man, should I be more serious about dating, this and that? And my gut was always like, not yet. Give yourself time. You like, and also in my head, it was, I don't know where I was going to be in the next 4 or 5 years. Like there was that, I guess, that idea that like, I didn't know, but there was a part of me that was like, I don't know. There was like conflicting parts of me, because I wasn't really aligned with who I was. I think I was just living this life that I felt like I was supposed to be living.
Oh, I resonate with, and it was hard to even know like what my criteria was. It was like, oh, I went to a good school, tall, blah blah blah. Like,
Or it's like what my parents want, right?
Yeah.
Like Gujarati, PhD, lives in Jersey, this and that. Like hit all the check marks.
PhD?
Not PhD, but it's like, very high level of education, because my dad would love that.
Oh, got it.
Right?
Got it.
Of just that, or there was like, there was just checklists, or people that were hitting check boxes, but emotional, right? Like the EQ part of it, all of that was lacking, of like, oh, I realized like, that actually matters to me more. And there's all these things that you could accomplish, and you're great on paper, but who do I really want? Like, and I think when I moved to LA and I started just like dating all kinds of different people, I was dating more to learn about what I want, instead of dating to marry somebody, and like dating to
and to
please
connect.
them. And
Like,
to connect.
I feel like I do that now. I'm like, let's just build a friendship and a connection, and we'll like kind of see.
Yeah. It's not like I'm like hell bent, like, oh, the first date. Like I would be that girl. First date, I'd meet someone. I'd plan the whole wedding
me
in my
too.
head
Me
on the
too.
first date. The barat
Or I'd
happening.
be like, what are you looking for? And they're
I'm-
like, we're on the second date, so I'm not really sure.
Is his guest list going to be his guest list is going to be smaller than mine because I have a huge family? Like literally just planning the whole wedding during the first date. How does his family look with mine? Like, oh, cool. Like he lives in Jersey.
You're like elephant or horse? Brought elephant. I guess this isn't gonna work. You're like, that's fucked up.
he can dance great. Our first dance is going to be fire. Like it's just like all these things. And now I'm like, that's crazy. I know, but I was one of those
No,
people
I
that
was
did
too.
that. I was, but it's also like, I mean, it's also a learning process of like, I just think it takes time to become self-aware and do the work on yourself and date and literally date yourself to figure out who you are and what you want, what you could tolerate and
What you need.
what you need.
And maybe our needs, I think even for me accepting that my needs are each of us has their own distinct, unique needs because we are each our own distinct, unique people.
Yes.
And so my emotional needs are high. Like they just
Yes.
are.
Yes.
But simultaneously, I hold a lot of emotional space for my partner.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm able to do that back and forth. And if someone can't with me, I can't. If someone can't be emotionally honest with me, then I can't do it. I'm like, because
And you can feel it.
You can feel
You
it.
know it.
And the issue is that now that therapy speak has become a big thing and people are watching TikTok and this and that, people can fake it for a while. They can just
Yes.
like use the right words and stuff. But then you start to realize over time, you're like, oh, you're not actually honest with me because
Yeah.
you're not able to be honest with yourself. And
Or
that
it's also
to me
the
is,
phase of like, I want to impress you. I want
Yeah.
to do like the honeymoon
I want to
phase
be
of
and I want to be the
dating.
good person.
Exactly.
Be the good guy, be the good girl, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And but it is really funny. Yesterday, a woman who came to the salon was talking about how, and I'm so curious what you think of this. She was saying how one of the interesting things that's happening is like we are wanting men specifically in heteronormative culture to be more emotionally intelligent. But then she was like, the issue is a lot of women are not socialized to really take in men's emotions. Like it's kind of annoying, or like it can be. And I don't think I'm like that. I think I can. I think me and you can probably take in a lot.
Yeah.
But I was curious what you think of that.
I guess you're right because we're not even used to that aspect of it because that's the main complaint is that guys aren't emotionally in tune with themselves.
Yeah.
And also, they can't communicate what they're actually feeling.
So interesting, right?
It's so interesting.
Because with my girlfriends, I'm like, say anything,
Because-
do whatever.
Because I also think I can see the other side of it of like, let's say a guy is like complaining about something and I'm like, oh yeah, life's hard for you. I'm sure it is. Doing whatever you want, like being
Yeah.
a guy, but it's also like, well, no,
like, annoyed.
you have to validate
Yeah.
his feelings, even though some of them sound ridiculous because women endure so much more on a daily basis and men can, when they get sick, it's like they're dying, or when something
is it
little
like
happens,
that?
it's like really dramatic. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel like I can definitely process it, but I don't know.
I know. I don't know
even
either.
how to
I'm
think
still
about
processing
that.
this.
That's crazy.
She said it and I was like, my brain just broke.
No, my brain just froze.
I'm like, right?
Wow, what would that be like if a guy was really communicative? First, I'm like, that would be nice, and secondly, I'm like, would that be annoying? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say for my conversation this morning, like I do appreciate how communicative he is, but I didn't fully feel like he really understood or was able to hold space for me. Like it was very much focused on like his own
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and I could feel that, and like I'm still learning. Like I'm not
Yeah.
a perfect person. I might look back in a month and be like, I was fucking wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm making this up as I go. And by making it up, I mean hearing the sound of my own voice actually draw a boundary or say what I'm feeling is very new.
yeah.
So I'm making it up as I go, but I'm open to feedback, and I think the only way we can evolve is by actually like having the conversation out loud and sharing it with people.
Having
So I
a
was like,
difficult conversation too, because that's what a lot of people just stray away from. Of like, just like I don't want to talk about things that
Make
would
me
upset.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, make me uncomfortable, make people upset.
upset people.
And I'm
Yeah.
always that blunt friend that's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear because no one else is going to say it. And I've gotten burdened for it. But at the same time, I'm like, that's my duty as a friend to just look out for people. And if I can help somebody, even if they don't want to hear it, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's. I think the other thing that's really dramatically changed for me is I don't think of friends and romantic partners as all that different from each other anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're on the same spectrum. You obviously need more time.
Obviously, you're not having sex with all your friends.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. Obviously the physical stuff. But emotionally, I'm like, I think that sometimes I used to almost have like lower standards for my partner than I did for my friends. Like I feel like with my friends, like I'm such a good friend and the way I expect loyalty and emotional honesty, all those things, I'm like, wait, but I should want that from my partner too.
Yeah.
Like if I would rather hang out with a good friend of mine than my partner, then I should just go do that. Because a partner is like the person that you're theoretically going to be spending the most time with. So I think about that more now.
That's so interesting.
I'm like, is he or she actually my friend? Or yeah. But I mean, that seems so obvious now. Like, yes.
Yeah.
But like 5 years ago, that was not the case.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, when I do think of a partner, I would want him to be one of my best friends because it's like I not only want to love you, I want to like you.
I want to like you.
I want to like you. I want to like
Yeah.
just kicking it and spending time doing nothing together.
Just like eating mozzarella sticks.
Exactly.
That is what I don't know why that came to my mind, but I love mozzie sticks.
Just rotting away eating mozz sticks. Like, why not?
What do you eat for dinner usually? Like, well, how do you, as a single person like me, what's your food game?
My food game? Well, here's the thing. It depends on like whether I have shoots during the week, if like I'm getting dinners with people, right? So like I'll try to cook like a couple times because other times I'm either just like getting food or eating on set or whatever it is. But it's like, it's tough because then it's like you don't want to overcook and waste food. So I'll do like pasta, like Mexican stuff, chicken.
I do that too.
But like basic stuff, like
Me too.
salmon, like easy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like rice and tofu. Like
One of my friends is like, oh, I make a lot of Indian food. And I was like, should I be doing that? I'm like, I do what you do.
Yeah.
Like the
I mean,
easy
I
protein.
will make Indian food randomly and occasionally, but it's also like a big, like, you have to get all the spices together. Like, it's a thing. But,
And my mom's like, it's so easy. And I'm like, not for me.
yeah, I'm just like, I mean, my mom made sure that I like learned how to before I moved out. She gave me all the recipes and all of that, and I've done it. But it's more of like, I don't know. Also, like, I want to cook. Cooking for two is easier. So I'm like, or I put more love into it when I'm like cooking.
I know.
For someone, versus cooking for
interesting.
myself. Even though you should put love into cooking for yourself.
Yeah.
But I keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah. I was trying to go to farmer's market for a while to be like fresh produce. And then now that stopped. And now I'm just like, I just eat eggs. So it's the most expensive thing on the menu. Just going to CVS and buying a lot of eggs. No, I was just curious. I think like even my cousin going through this divorce, like she talks about how she's had to learn how to feed herself. Because she's like, for so many years, she has 3 kids. She had a husband. She's like, I was so accustomed to just like cooking for them, and then I would just eat last. So she's like, it's been a whole process to learn how to actually put care into cooking for myself.
Wow, yeah, because you're focused on the kids, and then like everyone else, and then you last, and then sometimes you're just so like I see moms just so tired, like, well. It's fine.
It's fine. I'll just eat like the leftover.
I'll just eat cereal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, cereal. That's so true.
Right?
And we like now know cereal is like so bad for you. And
I
we're
know.
Like, we're just like eating cereal and दूध. Like cereal and दूध.
What?
It's just sugar. What have you, so I know we did our last episode many weeks ago, like, and there's been like a lot that's happened between us since then. Like I don't know, what have you learned about me or I don't know, tell me something. Like, what's been interesting you feel like
you're
that's
like,
changed
tell me
in our
how
relationship?
amazing I am.
What's been interesting about, yeah, seriously. I don't know, Priya, I'm just trying to think out loud.
No. I love it.
Or what's changed for you in the past few weeks? Like,
I think for both of us, we've gotten to see each other in our own light. When like, you're friends with people, but when you see them like living out their full potential and creating events and spaces where we've seen each other just light up the room, right? Like you came to my comedy show, so now you know like what drives me, or you've seen me operate at that optimal level of frequency. And then when I came to your zine event and you were being so vulnerable and sharing experiences about yourself, and even through your writing and the way you express yourself, you gain a little bit more of a respect for somebody, because I'm like, oh yeah, you're not just talking about what you want to do, you're doing the things that you want to do. And I love it. I think it's like gotten us closer, and now we're hanging out more now, going to events together. Like I feel like I can tell you literally anything, like literally anything, and you won't judge me. Even
No.
if you do or you don't, I don't even care.
Who am I to
but
judge anybody? Who is anybody?
That's what I'm saying. I just
Like,
think
what does
that
that
the
mean?
level of our conversations have so much depth
They do.
that it just makes me feel closer to you. Where like now I can send you a 5-minute voice note at 2 a.m. and it's okay.
You're like,
Almost got into an accident. Ooh,
I'm fine, but I'm not
fine.
fine. Can you come get me? I'm in. P.S. I'm in Vegas.
Right? Where it's
I feel like that could happen, and I would be like,
and I'm not
word.
thinking twice about it. Where I'm like,
No.
no, those connections are rare to find because a lot of people
true.
in LA, you don't know, right? Some people are surface level. Some people only
That's
want
true.
to hang out. You know,
If there's something in it for them
gain- yeah,
or-
exactly.
Yeah,
but I
it's even
feel
hard
like-
for me. It's even hard. I haven't met that many people that I can do that with.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think I do connect with a lot of people because, I mean, I'm not super visible on social media. I'm working on it. But even with the few things I've put out there, one of my friends was saying to me in LA, she's like, oh, I just thought you were really social. And I was like, I am, but I don't deeply connect with that many people. I was
Interesting.
like, that part of
Yeah.
it is like, I'm like, it just depends. It really just depends on like who the person is. And I mean, obviously I can get up there on stage and share stories, but who am I sharing 8-minute audio notes with on a daily basis? Not that many people. Like
Yeah.
it's smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just depends. Like it takes, I don't even know how to articulate it, but it takes a certain thing for me to trust someone. And I do
Yeah.
feel like I trust you.
For sure.
So,
and
like,
also it's like
yeah.
spending a lot of time with somebody or like going to different types of events and actually talking to people because again, people can try to impress you or lie or fake themselves
I know.
or anything like that. So it's like actually getting to know somebody, it takes a little bit of time. But I also think like right off the bat when we met, there was like there's a level of energy that I think both of us have.
Like,
Like this genuine, authentic energy.
We're both
where
open.
We're both very open.
Yeah.
We're also, we've done the work on ourselves to be like, hey, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. But
it or
also,
leave it.
you know what I mean? Like, love to get to know people and this and that. So it's like there's this great balance of energy, I think.
I was thinking about the other thing too is I do think in working on myself, I think for the most part, I've become a slightly better judge of character.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, for me, like, okay, with men in particular, I think I'm a little bit better at it. With women, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But with men, like, something about how they treat other women, and especially if they're married, how they talk about their wife.
Ooh.
I feel like
Yes.
like yeah, so okay, how men talk about their wife or how they treat their wife. Like if they're constantly coming out without their wife or just getting wasted or whatever, and they think that tells me a lot.
100%.
What about you? What do you think or tells for you when you think about like how like because you have to be a judge of character in what you do.
Yeah, also, how not only they treat their wives, how they treat other people around them as well,
Yes.
right? Like even like service people or like waiters,
Yes.
right? How they're speaking to them, because then you could tell immediately, like, oh, does this guy think he's full of himself, or he can just talk down to this person,
Yeah.
and treat this person this way, or is he humble? Is he grounded? Is he being respectful?
Yeah.
And you can just by the way they're treating others, and even with the way they talk about other people in conversations as well, you could immediately
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember like maybe it was a year ago. I was in a meeting with this filmmaker, this guy, or he was a producer, and he took a 20-minute phone call during our coffee. It was honestly, and I
a
purpose
20 minutes phone
and
call?
it was like this. He was like, "Yo, bro,"
Like not even a sorry, excuse me, like give me
No.
like I didn't.
and he answered and he's like, "Yo, bro," and it was odd. And what I did in that moment,
I'd leave.
just what I almost did, but actually just to be an even bigger dick, I sat there and I didn't look at my phone once, and I just sat there and looked at him until he was done, and like, and
Stop! That is
I was like, I'm not even gonna.
so
I was,
funny. You're like, listen, I'm gonna make you feel so bad right now.
I did. And I purposefully did not look at my phone once because I wanted him to feel what it was like, and I just sat there, and then he got the phone, and he was like,
I love
Sorry.
that you did that.
It was-
I love
and then he like
it.
tried to help me with a few things after that, but I just like I cut it off because I was just like, dude, like I'm not inviting. Like it was so unhinged.
Yeah.
And I also it kind of made me feel like I was like, are you manic or something? Just like a really smart, intelligent person would not do that.
Yeah.
Right. So in that moment, I'm like, I don't care what this guy thinks of me anymore. This is honestly just at this point a bit that
Yeah.
I'll talk about at some point.
Absolutely.
But like to me, for whatever reason, it felt funnier to just sit there.
I know. mean, that is such a great reaction.
Like, it's kind of a power move.
It's brilliant.
I
It's
was like-
absolutely brilliant.
And even just not being on my phone, that nuance mattered.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I get on my phone, then it's going to be like, oh, we were both just on our phones.
exactly.
And I was like, I was not.
No, I love that. I
wish I could
that.
I know. Anyway, so I always think about like these little tells people have
Yeah.
that really tell you like who they are.
I was on a date with a guy, and keep in mind, I'm an only child, but I'm very, very close to all my cousins.
Yeah.
So for me, like I will call my cousins like my brothers and my sisters because that's like the bond that I have with them. And he was talking about how like he had a sister who had kids, so he was like really close to his niece and nephew. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm extremely close to like a lot of my nieces and nephews. And he was like, but you said you were an only child. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like my cousins' kids and stuff, like they are. He's like, no. He's like, you don't have any nieces or nephews. And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, technically, you don't. And I was like, you do not dictate the relationships I have with, because even my best friend's kids, I call them my niece and my nephew. They call me
Yeah,
Masi.
totally.
So I'm just like, there's
Same.
this guy who was just like, he's like, you don't, like you.
No.
I couldn't even. I was like, "Are we having this conversation?" And I was
No.
like, "Because he doesn't even know like the level of care that I put. I'm going to my nephew's like basketball games. I'm there for the soccer practice. I'm there every week. I spend so much time with them. I'm like, how dare you? You don't even know." And it was just more of like, I'm done with this conversation. Like, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Reminds me of that episode of The Office when Mindy Kelly is like, I have a lot of questions. First of all, how dare you?
Brilliant. I love
that. Plays in my head rent free like once a day.
I love when she did that. Oh.
But I love that you actually defined what the relationship is for yourself. Because you're like,
Yeah.
literally, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you say that to me?
These kids are calling me like Fia, Masi, all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, as they should. Like, this is.
Well, and a lot of people that don't have this quality of being able to like build meaningful relationships quickly, they'll try to kind of tear you like that because they can't do that.
Yeah.
Like people don't feel close to them. Even the people that are related to them don't feel close to them. So it's kind of their own way of like trying to like mitigate how close you're able to get to people. You know what I mean?
Just
Like I've
crazy.
experienced that. People are like, how did you, but you've only known that person for that long. I'm like, and?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's my decision and my life to decide like who that person is to me, not yours.
Exactly. Also, being an only child, it actually like forced me to make all these meaningful relationships with people where
Right.
now like if I don't know if I would be as close to my cousins if I had a sibling, but like now a lot of my cousins, I call them Didi, I call them Bhai. Like I literally refer to them as my brothers because it's like that's for me, I'm like, I'm going to make the most out of what I have, even though I don't have a sibling. Like I'm going to make sure I become close to all my cousins so that we have some sort of like special bond that I didn't get to have, but now I formed that on my own.
You chose your family.
I chose my family. Yeah.
This is really inspiring because, okay, here's my other secret. When I think about having a kid, I sometimes think about only having one.
Yeah.
And then I feel really guilty. But like,
Sometimes
You're
they're
cool.
not that bad.
they're not that bad.
I'm really weird though, but who's not weird?
So am I.
Exactly. No, a couple of my friends actually, they had a kid and my friend went through just a very like traumatic process with delivering and postpartum and all that, where they came up to me, they're like, hey, you're an only kid, like tell us, like, how was that growing up? Like, how did you feel? This and that. Did you want a sibling? And because we don't want another kid, and I don't want to go through that. And I'm like, honestly, it's okay. Like, I'm like, I've made do with what I was. I made I made the best out of every situation. Where even though I did feel lonely at times, like I lived 7 minutes away from my cousins, so like my parents would always make sure I was with them, and that's why I kind of like have a lot of friends where I'm making these meaningful connections so that I don't ever feel like I'm alone. But at the same time, I think it made me form my own personality where I wasn't really like, if I had a sibling, I would definitely copy them. And of course, I take bits and pieces of like my cousins' personalities and stuff, but it forced me to genuinely become my own person and create these meaningful relationships with others that like I would have loved to have in a sibling, but like, okay, so what? It's fine. Like, again.
Right. Like you make do. And also there's no perfect thing.
Yeah.
Like even with people with siblings like can be lonely or like it's just we create these like labels of like, oh, being a mom who's married is better than being a single mom. And I'm like, it depends.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know why we do that. We like we give meaning to things that it doesn't have to mean that.
Exactly.
Like we say only child, but it's like or siblinged.
Or people would tease me. They'd be like, "Oh, only child, lonely child," when growing up.
Oh.
And I'm like, you have no idea how many people I'm gonna get close to later in life. Like,
Oh my God.
that's what fueled me. That's
100% comedy show.
That's what fueled me to be like, how dare you say that?
First of all, how dare you?
First of all, how dare you?
I'm totally cutting that into this.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of, Priya, I have some questions. I have a lot of questions too. First of all, how dare you? I know it's like, okay, wrapping this up in that conversation I had with the guy this morning, like, I did at moments want to be like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? But then I was like, he's allowed to feel, I mean, he has his own stuff. He's allowed to feel how he wants, but like, it is, it is a thing. It is a thing. Like, I as my confidence and self-esteem grow and I grow into myself, the voice of how dare you enters my head more.
Yeah. But also it's like you're so sure of yourself where it's like, no, you will not tolerate being disrespected.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I will. It's like, well, and I'm somebody who, it almost is like a superpower sometimes that I seem so nice, because then when I'm not, I'm pretty, and I'm also really good because of childhood trauma. I'm really good at de-escalating and shutting something down without saying a word. Like, if I don't want to be in a situation, and I've in the last year I've experienced that in a couple things, and I've had friends literally ask me, they're like, "Oh my God, you got out of that first. How did you know?" And I'm like, I just knew she was a dick, and I was like, I knew I didn't have to say very much. I just had to kind of like slowly, because there's also certain things where I'm like with this guy today, I did care about him, so I'm like, I want to have the conversation. With certain people, I'm like, I don't even want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So how do I not have it? And it's not that I'm avoidant. I'm like, it's just not even worth it.
Yeah. But then are you being the ghoster?
No. Like, I will say I need space, or I will do something.
Okay, so you'll communicate that.
I'll communicate it.
Yes.
But I won't give everybody a ton of airtime.
Yeah.
And I've made peace with that. I'm like, I can't.
Same.
Like,
I'm realizing that too, of like, I am a giver naturally, and I do want to be there for people, but then at the same time I'm like, no.
People take.
They take and there's only so much you can give. I love giving too, just because like I give and I don't expect anything in return.
No, same, ever.
But at the same time though, there's only so much you can give to where you're like depleted, where it's like, okay, now let's recharge, let's reset. And do what you gotta do to do
and
that.
also like let me like when I choose who I give to more intentionally, then I have more to give to those people.
Exactly.
And my art improves and things, because like giving to everyone, and it's not even that I accept reciprocation, but like there has to be some kind of like energy exchange.
Yeah.
And if there isn't anything and I'm just giving, over time I'm like, but what? I'm like, what is happening up here that I keep doing that?
Yeah.
Like, obviously something's up.
Yeah.
So let me like figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like interesting. Anyway, really deep.